Hello, this is John Monson, your host of Rural Ruckus Radio and Podcast, and I'm happy again today to have Tim Penny with me from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. He's been a great partner over the course of my career and also a mentor, somebody that I've looked to help guide me in terms of thinking about how we serve rural communities better. And we both worked for organizations where the mission was very aligned. But there were some really unique things, innovative approaches we took, Tim, together that I think help reach communities in a new and a different way. And I was thinking about last night's tornadoes and hail and bad weather that came through and some of the greatest risk we've had weather-wise in 14 years. Yeah. And so thankfully, I think we may have escaped from the worst of it. But I think back to 2007, Tim, and I think about the disaster that hit Rushford, Minnesota, the flood. Yep. And it really kickstarted something pretty unique between Compeer at the time that I was there and the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. Tim, can you tell us a little bit more about how you thought about that when it occurred and the success you had in dealing with it and how that propelled us forward?
Well, I came to the office that morning thinking, we've got to find a way to be helpful. And then my phone rang, and it was John Monson at the other end of the line, and he said, how can we be helpful? And I said, well, I think we need to have quick money available to these businesses so that they have some hope to rebuild while they're waiting for FEMA, insurance, all the other dollars that will be needed to rebuild that community, because the whole downtown of Rushford was underwater. And you pledged to provide, I think, $25,000.
Yep, correct.
And I said we would match it at the foundation with our $25,000, and that I would reach out to find other funding partners, including a fund at the state of Minnesota through the Department of Economic Development.
Correct.
That was available for purposes like this. And in the course of roughly 2 weeks, we raised $850,000. Within a couple additional weeks, we had all of those dollars distributed to the businesses in Rushford and a few adjacent communities that were affected by that flooding. And I actually had my two lending officers camp out in Rushford to help people with paperwork. And we kept the paperwork as simple as possible and basically said, you can qualify for these dollars. Just give us receipts on the office equipment, whatever you spent this on in order to get some semblance of a business going again. And we learned a lot from that experience, that these early dollars are critically important in the rebuilding process for businesses. And so we replicated that a time or two in subsequent years when there was flooding here in Owatonna and Faribault and Northfield, and when there were tornadoes in the area outside of Albert Lee, north and west of Albert Lee, and partnered with Compeer every single time and a lot of other donors. And then when the fire hit downtown Madelia about 7-8 years ago now, the same thing. We ramped up with your help and with the help of Downs Foods and other donors with a business recovery program there. So it just shows that a regional foundation like ours can step in and serve a need during times of crisis. And we're proud to have done that. And it led to the Department of Economic Development reaching out to me and the other 5 rural foundations during COVID, when so many businesses were affected by shutdowns and restrictions during that COVID timeframe, and there were federal dollars available for small business recovery grants. The commissioner of DEED, because of our previous work in disaster recovery, called and said, can you help us with these small business recovery grants? And I said, look, at my foundation, the other 5 foundations do lending, we do grant making, we know how to do this. And so they entrusted us with that job. And in our 20-county region alone, dispersed over 2,000 business recovery grants totaling over $20 million. So again, it's part of our overall mission to invest in the vitality of this region. But in times of crisis, we have a role that we can play that's enormously helpful.
Well, not only did you set the stage for what you were able to do across the region in Minnesota, but it impacted Wisconsin. We used the exact same approach in Wisconsin, and we were able to help an area that was flooded and had experienced a flurry of tornadoes down in west central Wisconsin. Duluth had a big flood, you might remember as well, and the Initiative Foundation there sort of took the model that was built here and implemented it there in order to help out a number of different fire departments and others who were impacted. I think about Moose Lake, which was very impacted by the floods at that time, and helped to provide some additional perspective on where we invest our emergency management system funding, so we could help the emergency management services, fire department, replacing hoses, equipment, and so on. So it just informed a whole host of different issues, but it was the scalability and the model that you built and the impact. And the idea behind it was, I recall, get businesses back to running and committing to the future as quickly as we can, instead of rethinking and sort of shutting down and saying, I'm not sure we want to continue to go. These were first dollars in the door. And that was what I think was important about it, Tim. So yeah, I couldn't believe how quickly you were able to do it, how straightforward it was. But it was one of the greatest successes I can recall from my career. And I was really proud to work with you. And you really provided the leadership, Tim. Your staff really provided that support to quickly. And it was money out the door quickly. And I think it had a huge impact on those small businesses, which leads me to some of the work that you've done for small businesses. You have had a seed loan to help some of those small businesses. And you've worked with entrepreneurs, and there's a number of programs that sort of blossomed from there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you support those rural businesses.
There's a variety of financing programs that we have in play. You mentioned the seed loan or seed grant. It could be an equity investment if that's what the business prefers. Right. And we've used that a number of times. We used that at Clean Plus in West Concord to develop some new products. We've used that with Busy Baby, an interesting business out of, was Orinoco, now Zumbrota. But it's a placemat with tethers to attach cups and toys so that your toddler doesn't throw everything on the floor. They can retrieve them themselves. Wonderful business. And so we've provided some seed dollars for these businesses to get going in our region. We've provided a variety of gap funding loans to larger businesses in our region. Bioplastics out of Ellendale now is one of those businesses. If you're driving along the interstate, especially interstates that have, or like Highway 14 that's newly constructed, interstates that have been reconstructed, you'll see these snow fences.
Yeah.
But they're plastic strips that are produced right here in Ellendale, Minnesota. We provided a gap funding loan to the Pickle Barn in Mankato. I mean, it's coming rage. And together with other lenders, we were able to allow that loan to go forward. The list goes on and on of innovative businesses where we've been able to assist. And then we've got our small enterprise loan. And the nice thing about that is up to $35,000. So it's kind of it's kind of just targeted on early stage businesses or startup businesses. But we can apply technical assistance to any loan client. So it might be as simple as QuickBooks or marketing strategies that can help their business get off to a successful start. And because of that, the default rate on these loans is minimal.
Sure.
And we're very proud of a number of those. And a lot of those are in the local food sector. Pleasant Grove Pizza, half a dozen breweries in our part of the state are participants in that lending program. So we're very proud of that. And then the equity. We saw a need for equity funds in this corner of the state 10, 15 years ago and decided that we would risk some of our own dollars toward equity just to see if that would incent other equity investment to materialize in this part of the state. And I think we've done maybe 16, 17 equity investments over the course of time, a lot of them in the biotech or the medical tech arena, because of course you got Rochester Mayo Clinic here, you've got the Hormel Research Institute. So a lot of innovative researchers are coming up with ideas for medical technologies. And so a number of those equity investments are in those firms, but it's patient money. You know, you have to wait until they get to a point to go public, and then you get a return on that investment. But we partner now with an equity fund in Rochester, Golden Triangle, Gopher Angels, other equity funds in order to leverage together the kind of investments that are needed to start businesses and grow businesses here in our part of the state.
Yep, those are great examples of partnership. Again, I've learned through equity investments that the only way to do it is through partnership there. All of rural America investment is through partnership. Really, that's what makes it the strongest, of course. On that topic about supporting rural business, I was thinking about entrepreneurs. And one of the absolutely neatest programs of all was Feast. I love Feast. You know how much I love it, and you have felt the same. This has been a passion shared by the both of us to support these rural businesses. Tell us a little bit more about how Feast is so unique and how successful it is.
Yeah. Well, years ago, we began to see more and more loan requests from people in the local food space trying to process something, fruits, vegetables, meat products, cheese, and build a business. And more grant requests from groups and organizations in the area that were trying to support local food producers. Interesting in local food space, a preponderance of the people involved in that space are women and minorities, new immigrants to our region. So that's kind of exciting as well. So we put together a collaborative, and Compeer is part of that, as well as Renewing the Countryside. They're a main partner, and they deliver the staffing for the events that have grown out of this. But that collaborative of local food organizations, economic development organizations, came up with so far, 3 ideas that they thought would help grow the local food sector and help that be a growing economic sector in our region. One is a Grow Farmer Loan Fund, which is housed at our foundation. We raised money together with these partners to build that fund for the equipment you might need, just a microloan to kind of grow your business. The second was the Feast Festival, which you've referenced. Every year now for 11 years or so at the Rochester Mayo Civic Center. Last year we had over 90 exhibitors, 90 booths, and we had 1,500 people come and visit that and sample local foods. And then we do a separate event at Cannon Falls in the March time frame. And this year we had about 60 local food producers set up booths, and over 100 buyers came, grocery stores, restaurants, other institutional buyers, to sample this stuff, and purchasing contracts resulted from that. So all of this is designed to just put some juice behind the local foods economy here in southern Minnesota.
Yeah, what an amazing story that has been. The growth of it has been really exciting to see. But the businesses and the products are unique, they're interesting, they're fun, they're tasty. You need to come with an empty stomach, and just through the sampling through the day, you fill your stomach, and it's actually a wonderful event. I absolutely love meeting everybody, talking to them, but the crowd is enthusiastic about sampling.
And the Feast Festival that we do in early November, actually the first Saturday in November is now the regular date for that.
Yep.
We give away swag bags, grocery bags at our desk at this food festival. So people walk away with bags filled with food for either gifts or for eating during the holiday season.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a great event.
Perfect timing. One other really unique opportunity that we had a chance to work on together was the Rural Entrepreneurial Venture, REV.
You were very helpful in helping
Thank you.
take that to the next level.
Yeah, that was great. But it's an interesting program. I'm sure the term Rural Entrepreneurial Venture is like, okay, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting. Can you explain a little bit more about it?
It's really a multi-year coaching and strategy making process. Mm-hmm. We select, every couple of years, we select 3-4 communities to take through an asset mapping and ripple map. Take them through all sorts of tools to sort of identify the strengths of their local economy, ways that they can better support their existing businesses, ways that they can better attract new businesses to come to town. It's really about building an entrepreneurial culture in a town. And we ask them to be collaborative in terms of pulling all of the sectors in their community, the business sector, the nonprofit sector, the school system, into this effort. And then we assign a coach to each of these towns that work with them, meet with them regularly, and then we pull all of the REV communities together periodically for additional training and guest speakers and such, and networking with one another. And it's resulted in some serious accomplishments in a number of these towns. Spring Grove, for example, didn't have a chamber of commerce. Creating a chamber of commerce grew out of that. They are now thinking about creating a local community fund in which they can build an endowment and invest in programs and activities that are important to their future. They are engaging with a real estate fund to address some commercial real estate needs in their town. So that's just one example, but that's the goal of these REV efforts in communities across our region, and Compeer has been very generously supporting that effort.
Yeah, I had a chance to grow it across Wisconsin as well. So, and that's going quite well as well. We know that, but Tim, we could talk about community funds as well. There's so much more to talk about here, but the initiative foundations all do great work. The Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, Tim, through your leadership, has been impactful to the region that I've lived in, and I want to thank you for a career at the foundation of making a huge difference in the lives of people. I don't know that everybody understands maybe just the total impact it's had, but you have made meaningful differences day by day. And I think when you add it all up, it's made a huge dent in the needs of these communities. And you've seen the gaps, you've scaled up new programs, and you've made them replicable, not only here, but other parts of the state. That's how leadership really happens, is through all of that. So thank you so much, Tim, and thank you for the sponsorship of this show and all the work that you've done on behalf of all of us living in rural communities. Thank you so much. And this is John Monson signing off with Rural Ruckus Radio and Podcast, and we'll see you next time.